Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Oh, yeah. Thursday's show. Hey, did you guys... sorry we went a little bit long yesterday with you guys.
They like it long.
The parental guidance one. See, that's it. There you go. What Jared just said is a reason that we need parental guidance. Absolutely.
I have parental guidance in the room with me right now.
You do, and it's a good thing there's parental guidance in the studio with you right now, inside of the SilencerShop.com studios. Oh, you want to hear something cool? You do? You do? See, that's when they talk back to their iPhones. When they look at their iPhone and say, yes, Paul, I want to hear something cool. The brown Santa brought me a package. And in that package is a Black Spider rifle scope. Yes, indeed. A Black Spider rifle scope. It's a 1-to-4 variable optic scope and a Black Spider mount for that. Now, the problem that I have, and this is a first world problem. This is one of those first world problems. You're like, wow, that's such a problem. I don't know how you're going to live with that problem there, guy. The problem that I have is I don't know what gun I'm going to put it on yet. I might have to build a new gun to put the scope on. Is that a good reason to get a new gun? Because I have a scope and a mount? I think it's a valid reason.
I think any reason is a good reason.
Well, yeah, that is true. That is absolutely true. But because I'm inventorying in my head, I'm like, okay, what should that be put on? I don't know. But that's just yet another reason for me to take my happy butt out into the wild and take my happy butt out to the rifle range. And it's just terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, I got this Black Spider optic. And here's the cool thing. You're like, Black Spider, isn't that those really inexpensive little red dots? Yeah. The Black Spider little mini red dot optics are, I think they're going for right around $199, $200 and so forth. And you guys are probably thinking, you're like, ooh, that sounds familiar. Paul, I think you put one of those on your pistol project when you did your side-folding Gray Sabbath pistol project that all of you out there... Jared, you remember when we did that? When I did the side-folding pistol project?
Yeah.
And I got all the advice from the experts, from the legal experts on Facebook about how, that's a felony waiting to happen right there. Well, that's great, but, now you're on their radar. Remember that, Jared? Oh, now you're on you posted a picture of a pistol, an AR pistol with one of those blade things on it, with one of those, and now you're on the ATF's radar. Like, I'm supposed to hide from my government. I'm supposed to hide from the minions of the king. Oh, don't post pictures of stuff like that because you know the king's minions are monitoring you. I got something to say to you guys. If you're one of those folks out there that was, wanting to give me warnings on Facebook about, oh, there you go. Oh, yep, you're a felon waiting to happen. Better not touch that to your shoulder. If you touch a piece of plastic to your shoulder, you remanufactured the gun. You repurposed it, and now you're a felon. If you really, listen to me, if you are sitting out there in America today and you really absolutely feel and believe that the minions of the king, that the state, that the tax Gestapo is monitoring your social media and just waiting to see a picture of you touching a plastic or a rubber part to your shoulder so that they can pounce on you like some kind of Stasi. The solution to that problem is not hiding. The solution to that problem is not warning me on Facebook not to put up pictures. The solution isn't hiding from your government. If you think your government has reached a point where they've overstepped their boundaries, the solution to that problem is not to hide in fear. Okay? We got that down now? Can we move on with our lives? All right, we're going to move on with our lives. And yes, I did unpack. Jared, how excited was I when I unpacked my little guy?
He was like a kid in a candy shop.
My emergency response kit, my ERK there. I was, because we moved up here, and obviously all of Professor Paul's guns had to be packed up in various boxes and Pelican cases and soft-sided cases and wherever we could put them. And so, well, and have you ever moved? Have you ever lived in a house for 10 years, packed the whole thing up and moved it 2,000 miles, and then started to unpack it?
I've decided that no matter how far I move ever again, I will never do that. If I have a house with 10 years worth of stuff, I'm going to put it in pods, and somebody else is going to drive it across the country
Pods.
for me.
You're going to put it in pods?
Yes.
Are you one of the pod people? Yeah. Okay.
I am now.
Yeah.
I did that experience once. And no more.
No, well,
it's enough
here's
for
what
me.
you need to do. Stay off of I-80 from Cheyenne to Laramie.
Justin Finney,
Yeah, Cheyenne
I'm just going to hire you to drive my stuff
Elk
for me.
Mountain. It's funny that now we become localized. That
Yeah.
We all know the same thing about staying off of 80, Interstate 80 between Cheyenne and the Wolcott exit is probably the worst stretch of highway. Maybe if not in the United States, it's pretty high up there. This is a stretch of highway where the wind gusts and semi-tractors blow over. Yeah. You're like, what? People out east, Jared, people in the east are like, there's no way the wind could blow hard enough to, you know how heavy a semi-tractor is?
Yeah.
They're pretty heavy. And you know how hard the wind blows? Pretty hard. But we're not going to talk about wind and traffic. We're talking about optics and guns and all that kind of stuff. But so far I'm really impressed with the Black Spider Mini Red Dot. Now I haven't had it on that gun for that long, but I'm gonna put on my to-do list to get back out to the range with my ERK, my AR-15 pistol, and I need to get that thing hot and dirty and nasty because that's just the way I like it. It's hot, dirty, and nasty. All right, speaking of hot, dirty, and nasty, we're going to talk about some anti-gunners pushing their gun violence agenda. And where are they pushing it? Well, it's in a slave state. And what does that mean? Well, it means that we're going to get to listen to Puddle of Mud yet once again.
I like to teach you all the rules. I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see it's never.
Puddle of Mud Control.
Speaking of hot, dirty, and nasty.
Hot, dirty, and nasty. That is our slave state update.
Is that good over there?
Yeah, I'm sipping on my water because I understand the importance of staying hydrated.
Is that Coke with ice in it?
No, it's
it's
actually
actual
water. All right, now you guys recall, if you are hip students of the gun and you actually pay attention, that last week we had a story about the tool in Seattle, the chiefette. There's a chiefette in Seattle who's very concerned about gun violence, and they're not going to tolerate it, and yada, 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 right? And we dissected the article, and we discussed how it was 100% media propaganda, and I laid out the reasons why. Well, here we are again, and we have yet another story out of the glorious People's Republic of Washington. That's right, out on the left coast. And this story comes to us from Q13Fox.com. And I wonder if they're on our side. I don't know if they're on our side or not, but here we go. There's a story, and this is the headline, May 10th, 2017. Gun violence on rise in Snohomish County. We're really concerned more people are going to get hurt, is the quote. Well, let's find out who said that. Dateline, Everett, Washington. Gun violence is on the rise across the Puget Sound region, and deputies say it is happening more and more in Snohomish County. It was quiet around here. It really was quiet around here, said Albert Jordan, who lives in Everett near 128th Street. Jordan said he and his wife, Beverly, hi, Beverly, have both noticed changes around their neighborhood, and they told Q13 News it's not for the better. We're just walking here from the store, and a car cruised down the street, said Jordan. All of a sudden, pow, pow, pow. And that's what, and it's in quotes. Pow, 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 pow. There's 4 pows. Hey, Jared, now according to the title of the story is Gun Violence on Rise in Snohomish County. How do guns drive cars? Have the guns become sentient? And the guns have become sentient and figured out how to drive cars.
Well, you see what it is they're using
that's scary.
They're using the new autopilot cars.
Oh, they're like the Google cars or the Amazon. What are the cars? The self-driving cars.
I think that's Tesla. It was actually
Tesla. Nikolai Tesla.
Yeah. But anyway, that's what they're doing. They're using these autopilot cars so that they can do their business out the window.
I got you. So the guns are what they're doing is they're collaborating with their brethren. You want to have Skynet? Because that's how we have Skynet, all right? This is how we have Skynet. This is how it starts. You have guns that become sentient, and they partner with sentient self-driving cars in Washington State. They drive down the street, and here we go. Well, let's go ahead and continue. It said, pow, pow, pow. Over the last weekend, we had a deputy who responded to 2 drive-by shootings in a matter of hours on 128th Street, said Sherry Ireton with the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office. According to the Sheriff's Office, gun violence is up in areas like Everett and Linwood. Since 2015, Ireton said, there have been at least 40 drive-by shootings. Were there self-driving cars in 2015? I guess they were just starting then, huh? Drive-by shootings in South Snohomish County. And we believe the majority are, wah, wah, wah. I should have told you to cue the wah, wah, wah. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 paragraphs. 5, 6, 7. Oh, so you have to, if you're reading this story on a computer, you have to hit the page down button. Let me see. I'm going to page up. All right, I'm going to hit page down once, twice. Okay, you have to page down twice, and you have to get to paragraph number 8 in the story where the spokesman for the sheriff's department says the following. And she believes the majority are gang-related. We're also told that the uptick in crime may have to do with retaliation between rival gangs that dates back a couple of years. Now, hold on, Jared. This doesn't seem to jive with the title of the story. Now, nowhere in the title of this story, now what do we know, ladies and gentlemen? Ignorance, distraction, and guilt. Gun violence on rise in Snohomish County. We're really concerned more people are going to get hurt. Where in that title does it say anything about gang-related violence? Nowhere.
Well, that's not the problem. It's the gun.
That's where. So it's not gang violence. Shouldn't the title, if I were to write for Q13 News and not be a complete in-the-tank left-wing social tool, if I wasn't a liberal fascist who worked for a news agency, what I would do is I would write gang violence on rise in Snohomish County or gang-related violence on the rise in Snohomish County. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, that does not fit with the narrative. The narrative and the agenda that they are attempting to sell you and all of the ignorant people. Remember, 85% of the people that encounter this story will read the title, look at the picture, and that is it. Another 5% will read the first 2 or 3 paragraphs. They'll read what's called the top fold. Less than 5% of all people who encounter this story will ever hit the scroll down twice button and read into paragraphs 8 and 9, where the deputies say, "Oh, crap. It looks like here in Snohomish County in Everett, Washington, we got a problem with thugs, with human criminals. It's not guns. It's not the inanimate objects. It's the human criminals." Hey, Snohomish County and Q13 News, and all you other liberal propagandists out there on the left coast, I live in a state that has the highest gun ownership per capita. That's right. There are more guns owned by more people in this state than any other state in the Union. And yet, we don't have a gun violence problem. And we don't have a thug violence problem. Why would that be? Because it's not about inanimate objects. It's about human behavior and a lack of responsibility for your human behavior. And when you're a scumbag socialist puke face and you write propaganda pieces that fixate on the inanimate object, what you're doing de facto is you're giving a pass to the human scumbags that are actually responsible for the problems. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, I was just teasing earlier. Guns have not become sentient. Guns have not partnered with self-driving cars to commit drive-by shootings. All of the guns in question are being held and possessed by scumbag thugs, by criminals who we have made excuses for. Rather than holding people responsible for their behavior, we hand them a truckload, we back up a truckload of excuses. Because it's society, and it's racism, and it's thisism and thatism, and it's republicanism, and it's... No, it's not. It's human beings who have made the purposeful and conscious decision to be thugs and criminals, and who are not being held responsible for their behavior. And why should they? Why should criminals and thugs think for 1 second that they should be responsible, that they should not do what they're doing? They shouldn't. For 8 solid years, their number one cheerleader and chief apologist was living in the White House. The thug element of America knew this. If they were bold and brazen enough to attack and attempt to murder a police officer, and the police officer was strong and courageous enough to fight back, stop them, and actually kill them in the process, what did they know? They knew that Comrade Barry Hussein Sotero and all of his minions and accomplices in the Department of Justice would run to every microphone and hold the police department in question. The officer who stopped the thug from beating him to death, from shooting him to death, from stabbing him to death, the officer who stopped the thug from running over his partner by exercising deadly force, that's the person that needs to have the spotlight. And you have a situation in Baltimore or Ferguson or Memphis or Jared, just rattle me off some more, where police officers in the course of their duties who have to deal with the absolute scum and vermin of society every single day, registered Democrat voters, they're put on notice. So we have a thug element that decides they're going to riot, burn down their cities, beat people, pull them out of their cars, burn their cars, rape, rob, steal. You got a mayor in Baltimore that orders the police to stand down and give the people room to destroy. Says it on national television, comes out the next day, looks into a camera and says, I never said that. Why should we believe for 1 second or a fraction of a second that the thug element of Everett, Washington would be in any way afraid to engage in their chosen behavior? Why should they? They've been taught that, and the media is going to run cover for them. Rather than, okay, last week, the chiefette out there, O'Toole, the number one tool in Seattle, goes before the microphones, and instead of calling out the thug element of Seattle, what did she do? We're not going to tolerate this gun violence. Hey, chick, guns aren't the problem. It's the thug scumbags that you've invited in. It's the thug scumbags that you've enabled and emboldened. That's the problem. And by you going to a microphone and just forgetting to call them out or calling out it's gun violence. And, some of our detectives think that it might be gang-related. Oh, do they? They think it might be gang-related? You mean it's not because there's too many guns out there and there's guns on the streets? Jared, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the sentence about guns being on the streets. We got guns on the streets there. It's not good to have guns on the streets because, you could trip over them and hurt yourself. The problem with, here we go. Ms. Ireton, the spokesperson for the Sheriff's Department, continued. The recent violence is a problem with no easy fix, Ireton said. The problem with gang violence is it's complicated, said Ireton. Jordan said because he's grown in and around the rough parts of town, he knows it's going to take much more than local law enforcement to get things better. Let's not worry about what's outside of our community. Let's start taking care of our community, said Jordan. Ooh, there's going to be a van that picks him up and he's going to disappear. He starts keep talking like that. You keep talking about, taking care of your own community there, Mr. Jordan. Yeah, you're going to go away and no one's ever going to hear from you again. You better knock that crap off right now. I got a question for you. What is complicated about enforcing your laws and holding human vermin responsible for their behavior? Jared, what's complicated about that? And
it's not it doesn't represent justice, don't you know?
As justice,
because if you never mind. I'm
not
even going to go there.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. You're like, you can't just throw people in jail for committing crimes. There's no justice there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And you certainly cannot allow the peasants. Hey, maybe Washington State needs to start exercising some of their extreme protection orders against these gangbangers. What do you think, Jared? I mean, they passed the extreme risk protection order up there in Washington State. And maybe if you're living in Washington State, you might go to your elected representatives and say, excuse me, douchebag, you promised us that if we passed more gun laws that we'd be safer. Didn't you? You said that guns are the problem. And we need more gun laws and more restrictions and waiting periods and Derpa. We need to restrict the rights and the abilities of citizens so that everyone can be safe. But we're reading these stories here, and according to your propaganda machine, we're still not safe. And that therein is the exact situation that you will always be in. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what have we been saying since I've been behind this black carbon steel microphone? I've been trying to tell you and make you aware that there is, in the minds of a liberal fascist, of a left-wing socialist, of a totalitarian, of a tyrant, there is never, ever, ever enough gun control. And there's never enough control. Going back to Puddle of Mud right there. What have we seen in England? What do we have in England? They successfully disarmed their people. They're like, no, some people in England can own guns. Shut up. Shut up. The few firearms that are out there in the hands of the tax slaves of England are not self-defense tools. Whip out a shotgun and shoot a burglar in your house in England and see what happens to you. You go to jail. Yeah, you go to jail. Because they're slaves. They've been mentally emasculated. They have been neutered. And yet the crime problem hasn't gone away. The home invasion problem hasn't gone away. We have gangs on mopeds. Don't forget that. In merry old England, with all of its gun control and restrictions, we have moped-enabled crime, where monsters are driving through the city with knives and machetes. And you say, well, but didn't England institute a ban on locking lock blade knives? It's illegal to have a folding knife that has a locking mechanism. Yeah, they did. And didn't they do a whole turn in your knife program, and you can't have dirks and daggers? And yeah, they did. But why do they still have crime and violence and terrorism? Maybe it's because it's not about inanimate objects, and maybe because when you're a totalitarian, when you're a liberal, fascist, you can never have enough control. And the fact of the matter is the ruling class state does not give two farts about you. Is that good and family friendly there, Jared?
Yeah, it was good enough.
Yeah, okay. So remember this. The anti-gunners are pushing more gun violence stories in Washington. You're like, but why, Paul? Because they can never, ever, ever have enough gun control. As long as there is a firearm in the hands of a citizen in the state, they will never stop pushing their agenda. And if they have to bury the facts at the bottom of the story, if they have to write titles that are completely and totally deceptive that support their agenda, then so be it. So be it. And that's why your benevolent host, Paul Markle, is sitting behind this black carbon steel microphone inside of a building when it's beautiful outside. It is gorgeous. And I would rather be on the rifle range, but instead, because I care about you, I'm here. All right, freaks and freakettes, if you are a gun owner, if you are a free citizen, or if you are an armed citizen, I bet you our friends at Brownells have something for you. I bet you they do. So, and I'm betting you, I haven't checked. Jared, will you do me a big favor right now? Will you be that kind of a Caucasian son? And go to brownells.com and see if they have black spider optics, any of them. If they do, because I want to speak intelligently. I want to be able to tell people whether they do or they don't. I don't know if they have them in stock yet, so I want to be able to tell the folks. But you know what they do have on brownells.com? They've got Frog Lube and Frog Lube cleaning products. And if you're going to shoot, you might want to actually start out with a clean, well-lubricated gun.
From my research here, they do not have it yet.
They do not have it yet. Okay. All right. So you're going to have to get black spider optics from someone else at this moment in time. All right.
I would say go to blackspideroptics.com.
Yeah, you could do that. They have their own website. But Brownells has got all kinds of mini red dots and magazines and all kinds of good stuff. And like I said, they're always running sales. So make sure you're paying attention. and you can get your frog lube there. You can also get Century Arms guns directly from Brownells. Actual, legitimate, genuine firearms. As excited as I am, I may be more excited very soon. Oh, dude! You know what I just realized? My mind almost exploded, Jared. You know why my mind almost exploded?
Why?
Thank you for saying why into the microphone.
You're welcome.
If Brown Santa brings me a C39 V2 pistol from Century, you know what I have waiting to put on that?
A Black Spider optic?
No, a red dot mount.
Ah.
But you know what will fit on that red dot mount? A Black Spider mini red dot, because they have the same mounting holes, the same screw hole pattern, base pattern as the Aimpoint T1 or H1. So that's kind of exciting. I'm getting a little giddy there at the thought of touching some rubber to my shoulder. I'm gonna touch some rubber to my shoulder. Yeah. Ooh.
I quit this family.
Too late. All right, Duracoat. Why? Because life is too short to have an ugly gun. And if that gun shows up black, oh, yes, I'm going to Lauer Weaponry. Oh, yeah, I'm going to LauerWeaponry.com, and I'm going to shop for some Duracoat. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna put like a Western sagebrush kind of camouflage on it. Because why? Because I can. Because I'm an American. That's why. Because I can color my guns. They don't have to be black or white. They could be any color. This is like a Benetton ad for guns right here. That's what I want you to know. And all the young kids are like, "What's a Benetton ad?" All the junior high kids are like, "What's this old guy talking about, Benetton?" There are no more Benetton ads, right, Jared? I mean, that's like an old thing. It's every color under the rainbow, all right, kids? Get it right. All right. SWAT Fuel, why? Because I want you, yes, you, who's sitting there listening to me, who's on the treadmill, good job, give me 10 more minutes. I want you to have a stronger body and a sharper mind this year, and guess who can help you out? Our good friends at SWAT Fuel can. If you go to SWATFuelStore.com and you use the promo code SOTG2015, you are going to save yourself some money.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
That's right. You can find everything SOTG by going to studentofthegun.com, and from there, just branch out. Read, watch, listen. Listen, watch, read. Watch, read, listen. Do all those things. Studentofthegun.com. Well, what day is today? Well, thank you for asking. It's Thursday. And because it's Thursday, we've got a Student of the Gun homeroom for you, brought to you by Crossbreed Holsters.
What you gonna do when it all comes back to the place that you never wanted it to come back to? Where you gonna roll when the bottom drops out and you got no place to go? Who you gonna trust when trust is a must? You better roll with the rest of us. So pack your bags and all the faith you can, 'cause it's about ready to hit the fan. Come to the ready. 2012 brought about the real.
Woo! You know what I'm thinking? Don't say it, but I know, because we're not giving them a free plug on my show. But what I was tinking over here from my seat behind the black carbon steel microphone is I really like Madison Rising's new song, Dangerous. He's making that like face, like, okay, congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know what plug you're talking. I'm confused.
When I said, you know what I'm thinking, and then you answered that question, you're I'm thinking blank.
That one.
Yeah,
yes.
But I'm not plugging those suckers.
No.
But no, seriously, I think it might. Would it screw people up if we changed the Student of the Gun homeroom, brought to you by Crossbreed Holsters segment audio to Dangerous? by Madison Rising.
We could do that.
Let's do that.
I was going to use it for the background of the new listener thing, but we can do that instead.
Well, we can do that anytime. But I like that song, and I want that to be the theme. So there you go. Executive decision. Boom. We have permission to use any of their music from their. Yes, if you're an executive from YouTube, actually, if you're fresh out of what kind of school do YouTube geeks go to? YouTube Geek School. If you're fresh out of YouTube Geek School out there in the left coast of California and you're listening, yes, we do have written permission to use Madison Rising music, you douche. So stop sending me letters. But, all right, seriously though. Student of the Gun Homeroom, and today's topic is this. How much cleaning is enough cleaning? Now, you're like, what, Paul? Come on. Who cleans their guns too much? I can tell you who cleans their guns too much. Marines. I don't know if they still do, but when I was in, we cleaned our guns about 10 times more than we actually shot them. Yes, we would shoot them, clean them, put them in the armory, go get them from the armory, clean them, put them back in the armory, go back a couple of days later, draw our guns, clean them, put them back in the armory. You're like, well, didn't you shoot them? We shot our guns about once for every 10 to 12 times that we cleaned them. Like, well, that's good. That's responsible, and that's a good thing. Whatever. We were just cleaning dust off of them. Stupid armorer games. I've been the victim of stupid armorer games where they take a pipe cleaner and they stick it down behind the trigger mechanism. You know, the part that you're forbidden to disassemble and you can't clean that part anyway? They stick that pipe cleaner and they shove it all the way down back behind the trigger mechanism of your M9 and they pull it out and they're like, that's still dirty. And I say, well, when I was a young PFC and a private and stuff, I couldn't say anything. I was like, okay, I'll go over here and I'll stare at it for a half hour and then I'll bring it back to you because, if I take apart the trigger mechanism and you find out I did that, according to you, I'm going to go to Fort Leavenworth for the rest of my life. How many of you old Marines remember the whole Fort Leavenworth threats? There's rust on that gun. That's destruction of government property. And you're going to Fort Leavenworth for 5 years for getting rust on your gun. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you old jarheads, you're like, oh, yeah. But then you grow up and you become a military contractor and some douche nozzle on the other side of the bar of the armory bars there tries to pass an M9 back to you after he sticks he's like, that's a hot spot. There's certain hot spots on this gun that we have to inspect. And they stick the pipe cleaner down there behind the firing mechanism, and they pull it out and they show you the gray, and you look at them and you're like, listen up, Sparky, I'm not playing your stupid armorer games. And if you don't want to accept the gun, that's fine. I'm going to go over sit here and look at my phone for 15 minutes. Then I'm going to bring the gun back to you, and then you're going to take it. So I'm not playing your stupid armorer games. But seriously, how clean is clean enough? And how often do you have to clean a gun? Well, let me tell you this. If it's a 22, once in a while, because 22s are dirty and they're filthy. And you're like, this 22 is a piece of crap, man. It doesn't function. Yeah, because it's funky, nasty, dirty. You can scrape the crud off of it with your fingertip. Like, did you ever think about cleaning that thing? What? No, I just every other day I just take some Hoppy's number 9 and I turn the gun upside down and I squirt it in there and then just drive on, man. I don't want to clean it. Now, every once in a while, you have to disassemble your guns. You have to clean them because guns are simple machines. Yes, they are. They have moving parts and springs and levers and all that kind of crazy stuff like simple machines do. And how does a machine work best? It works the best when it is clean and well lubricated. Now, how much is enough? Do I need to clean my guns like between each drill? If I go to a shooting school and I shoot a drill, do I need to go off the line, go back to the table and clean my gun before I shoot the next drill? Probably not. Calm down. You're cleaning your guns too much. They don't need to be sanitary, and they don't need to be sterile. You're not going to be performing surgery with your Glock or your AK or your M4. But I'll tell you this. What you should do is it's a two-pronged attack. Yes, it's a two-pronged attack. Take your gun apart, get the solvent, and be careful. When I say solvent, there's certain solvents out there that you can put on liberally and without fear of it damaging your gun. And then there are some solvents that are caustic and are very abusive, that if you leave them on your gun too long, they will destroy the rifling. Yes, there are actually people out there, insane lunatic people, that will run a solvent through the bore of their rifle because they're so afraid of carbon fouling and copper buildup that they will risk ruining the rifling of their gun. Bad juju. Don't do that crap. And I've actually seen, I held in my hands a precision $3,000 custom-built M40 bolt-action rifle that some mongoloid was so afraid of copper fouling that they put a solvent product into the bore and left it there. Not for a minute or 2 or 5, but like all evening. And then they call the manufacturer, "This gun doesn't shoot anymore. It's crap." They get it in and they examine because believe it or not, manufacturers have the ability to closely examine the bore and the rifling. They're like, what did you clean this with? Well, just normal cleaning products. You're a mongoloid, and don't do that. Now, I don't own any solvent that is so caustic that it would ruin the rifling or the finish of my guns, because the guns are built pretty tough, and they're built of solid steel and metal. And so even if I wasn't using frog lube products, I would never use a caustic, toxic solvent. Like, I know some people are like psychotic about that, and they're like, "Nah, man, you don't understand. You don't understand." Actually, I kind of do. I've done a lot of precision rifle shooting, and never once did I feel the need to put any kind of a solvent in there that was so severe that it could ruin my rifling. Frog Lube has a solvent product, and then they have what they call a CLP. That's a cleaner lubricant protectant. So start out, clean all the funk, filth, nastiness. If you can see the funk, filth, and nastiness on the gun parts, get it off there. All right? Now when it's down to just regular old metal, put the lube on it. Lube it up, reassemble the gun, and then after a few hundred rounds, take it apart again. All right? It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. So, yes, guns do need to be cleaned, but they can be cleaned too much. I know, I just blew your mind. All right, that's it for this week, cats and kittens out there in the Student of the Gun listening audience. And we've got a bonus hour tomorrow for our grad program audience. But for the rest of you, we'll see you or talk to you on Monday. For the grad program, stay tuned. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Until then, remember what? That you're a beginner once, that you should indeed be a student for life.